Hey, welcome to Riding Shotgun with Tupper. It is Tuesday. It is December the 18th, 1 week from Christmas Day, and the weather's beautiful. Wow, we've got a really great little stretch here. I'm one of the thumbs up to White Christmas people, and I don't think I'm going to get that wish, but whatever. This is awfully nice. I can't deny that. Hope you're doing well. This is Braggin Rights week, Illinois, Missouri, Saturday at 7 at the, I believe it's now called the Enterprise Center. Enterprise Rent-A-Car is taking over sponsorship or naming rights of that building. Illinois against Missouri, Big Ten Network. You know, last year was a big year for this event because the year prior, it was just so disappointing to look around and see 10,000 empty seats in what used to be the Scott Trade Center. And you know, you think about the great crowds, the great games, players, coaches, atmospheres. You know, if you've been around Illinois basketball a little bit, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of times one or the other team ranked. I believe 9 times both teams have been ranked. And then, you know, Illinois has gone through a period where they haven't won and been in the tournament. Missouri's gone through a really rough stretch as well. Both schools made head coaching changes. Enter Quanzo Martin, enter Brad Underwood, and last year the attendance was way up as people responded in a great way. And Illinois won that game. They've won 5 in a row now. If you remember the game, Trent Frazier hit back-to-back threes right before halftime to give Illinois a 20-point halftime lead. It was sort of Trent's coming out party, and then Missouri came back in the second half, and Illinois held on and won by 6. Missouri, I don't know a lot about Missouri. I know they're 6-3 going into an interesting game tonight against Xavier. Should be a good test for them. They haven't played a really good schedule. They did bump into Bruce Weber's K-State team and lost by 15. You know, much of the attention for this game is going to be on who's in the black and gold of Missouri, who could have been in the orange and blue of Illinois. And people are going to talk first and foremost about Mark Smith, who transferred after 1 year at Illinois, and then is now at Missouri. And in their starting lineup, he was eligible, didn't have to sit out a year. I think that's probably in part due to Josh Whitman's just, you know, trying to help him become eligible as a favor to him and the family. But Jeremiah Tillman, who we went through this last year with Jeremiah Tillman when he was a freshman, had committed to John Gross and then changed his mind. And then you've got Javon Pickett, another one of those players that Illinois was certainly involved with down there. And fans, a lot of fans, some fans, however many, blame Quanzo Martin for all this. And you know, I don't get as fired up about that stuff. I'm a little uncomfortable with it, to be honest with you. You know, just talking about Mark Smith, you know, Mark had his reasons that he wasn't happy, and so he went on. I always feel bad when kids transfer. I just do. I think kids come to school, you know, you follow recruiting, and there's this dream, you know, I'm going to be a contributor, I'm going to have a great career. The coaches told me it's going to be a great career, it's going to be a 4-year career, unless I'm just so good that the NBA can't resist me, and then I'll come out early, but it's going to be a great career. I'm going to get a degree. I'm going to have friends. Everyone's going to love me. And in the case of Mark Smith, a really high-profile recruit, in-state kid, I'm staying home playing for the state school. And, you know, Brad certainly talked him up. You know, we love this kid. It can be the face of our program. And it obviously didn't work out. And so I know people are going to be booing him from the time he walks out for the shoot-around, through introductions, throughout the game, after the game, win or lose. And I'm not trying to talk anybody out of that. I'm just saying I'm not real comfortable in doing that. I just think it's a basketball game. And I've seen, you know, Illinois' schedule has changed so much. The first part of the year, it was so tough. and so fast-paced. One game after another game after another game. Obviously in Maui, 3 games in 3 days. No practice time, some of it, and not much practice time, most of it. And now they're into just the opposite. UNLV on a Saturday, they win that game, a full week off. East Tennessee State on a Saturday, they win that game, a full week off. Missouri this Saturday, we'll see how they do in that game, a full week off. And then Florida Atlantic before they begin Big Ten play. So it's almost like it's gone to an opposite extreme. I think it'd be nice if they're playing a little more, but I think they'll really embrace the practice time. I mean, they're happy, I'm sure, to be in the practice gym. Brad really working with them on some things. I saw improvement these last couple games. They're playing their kind of basketball, Brad's kind of basketball, for longer stretches. They played a really good first half against a travel-weary East Tennessee State team. I get that, but you still got to go out there and play a certain way, and they did that. And they were up by 30 at the half. They came out in the second half. They had lapses. They didn't play to that same level consistently. And that will be the story Saturday night for me more than Mark Smith, although, if Mark went off or something like that, you couldn't deny that would be a big part of the story. But if Illinois can sustain the kind of basketball that Brad's wanting them to play every minute of every game, I think they'll beat Missouri. If they can't, or they don't, for whatever reason, they drift away from that, then it'll be much more difficult to beat a Missouri team that's, certainly probably on par with them. So we'll see what goes on there Saturday night at 7. I hope you'll get to see the game. It'd be great if you get to go. It's just an amazing atmosphere down there, a lot of fun. The other thing I just wanted to mention was, man, I was just really surprised at the reaction that I got to the column I wrote about Brad Underwood, the column on sideline demeanor, and Brad, being particularly good at what I'm going to call the mean face, and I didn't get into all the reasons. I mean, hey, look, his mentors were Bob Huggins and Frank Martin, and Frank Martin may have the scariest face of anybody I've seen since Gene Cady. And so Brad learned from a couple of the best, but Brad's got it. He's got a hell of a mean face. When he wants to get in your face, whether you're an official or one of his own players, he can do it, and it's a little scary. And I wrote it only because that's what people are talking about. I've talked to a lot of people who are saying, "Wow, what about this? What about this?" And it doesn't really bother me. I think if I could choose the sideline demeanor of my coach, I mentioned Brad Stevens. I mentioned Brad Stevens, the former Butler and current Celtics coach, who's really calm on the sidelines. I rather like that because when he does raise his voice, I think it's heard more, and I just like the way it looks. I don't see very many college coaches doing that. I see more college coaches doing a version of what Brad does, which is to be really expressive, really emotional. I remember when Bobby Knight was the coach, Lou Henson talking about how you have to, with Knight in the conference, you have to be willing to fight for your team in terms of the referee's whistles. And because Knight is going to try to intimidate the officials, and you've got to at least make sure they're paying attention to you. And that's one of the reasons Katie was good at it. And Lou would have his share of eruptions. It seemed less natural for Lou, to be truthful. But a lot of those coaches, same thing. And you look around now, I'm watching these games, and Izzo goes nuts his share of the time over on the sideline, and the difference is Izzo's winning a lot and has won for a lot of years. And when you are winning, people don't get hung up on that kind of stuff. When you're not winning, they made fun of Bruce Weber's voice. They made fun of somebody's hair. They made fun of somebody's clothes. And they'll make fun of or have an opinion about Brad Underwood's sideline demeanor. And I got a range of comments from people about, why are you being so tough on Brad Underwood? Why are you picking on him? Which I didn't think I was, didn't intend to. to why are you being so easy on Brad Underwood? You should call him out on this. It's embarrassing. And I was like, well, okay. I was just wanting to have a little discussion about it, and apparently that happened. A lot of people have talked about it, and so forth and so on. I think he's free to do what he wants to do as long as players will still come and be subject to it. And I think Brad's trying to push them to be the best they can be. And I read Kipper Nichols' quotes after the last game, and he was thanking Brad for pushing him as hard as he does. And Brad lights into Kipper probably as much or more than anybody. But I also saw him light into Aaron Jordan, and I've seen him go into Trent Frazier. And, you know, I think he's an equal opportunity yeller when you're not doing what you're supposed to do and what you work on all week in practice. So I just thought it was an interesting reaction. Generally speaking, when you get half the comments think you're too hard on somebody, half the comments think you're not hard enough, that you're probably in the ballpark of where you ought to be, and we'll see. But you know, next week, probably no shotgun next week. A week from today is Christmas Day, and I'm busy on the 26th. I would say the next one will be Wednesday, January 2nd. We won't do one on January the 1st because it'll be probably impossible for me to get it downloaded at the Herald and Review into their system the way they like it. And so I'll just say the 2nd of January, barring some major development. And of course, tomorrow, football signing day. You know, we'll see what happens there. But the main thing is it's Christmas time. Have a great holiday season, everybody. I appreciate you a lot, and miss seeing you at games. And I'll try to get over. I really would like to. I've tried to kind of let Joey Wagner, who's doing a great job for the Herald and Review, picking up the Illinois beat, let Joey get his own voice and his own traction, and trying to stay out of his way. And so maybe I'll get over for one of these Big Ten games. I sure would like to. Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a great rest of this week and weekend. We'll talk to you on January 2nd. So long.